On this episode, to say this is a wanger banger is an understatement, Daniel.
That's correct. Yes. It is time for the world to meet Jonathan Yolles.
I believe that is true, and I'm excited to bring that story out.
All things discipline.
Yeah. What do you think, Trayvon?
Yeah, not even just discipline, but financial too. Just everything about it. You're going to learn a lot from this podcast.
Yeah. I'm so excited about this, Cole.
Yeah, I mean, like being a young dude, like there's so many tidbits and tiny pieces you can take away from this that if you come out of this not learning anything, you need to fucking check yourself.
Yes.
Listen to it more than once.
And most importantly, it's brought to you by MaxEverMuscle.com for all your supplement needs. John Yolles killed this. Roll to the show. Yeah, the Roundtable Podcast. I'm your boy Corey G at Small Arms Danny, at Trey Speed, and the graphic gangster himself, Cole Susak. Special guest John Yolles today. Now I'm going to frame this up. First learned about John as a Corey G Fitness member, although he was ride or die in the MP days. But I saw him commenting on the blogs back in the day before we had the app, 2016 and 15 actually.
Yeah,
immediately. OG. Then he became a one-on-one client. Then now business partner and part owner of Max Effort. And certifiable meathead. We've seen that. 100% Danny. We did arms this morning.
Facts.
But what he does for his regular job, we'll call it, is financial wizardry. No,
That's amazing.
Real
Boy,
talk
that's some
though.
setup right there.
Hey, this. You'll never get an intro like this again. That's a fact.
Never been done before.
Never been done before. But listen, Barron's has named this guy in the top 1,000 advisors multiple times. He's a 40 under 40 guy that they mentioned multiple times. He's not going to tell you any of these things, but when it comes to financial planning and helping some of the most wealthy people out here, John has been in the game literally since he graduated. So
Literally, yeah.
You're 47 now.
Yeah.
So as long as I've been lifting weights, plus some years, he's been doing this. So not only can we talk about basic finance stuff, we can talk about some of the content. And I think I'm really excited to have you on here, John.
Oh,
it's a full circle moment.
I'm psyched to be here.
Yeah.
This is a really cool thing for me.
And he's a listener of the show. He's been supporting all the content. So you used to watch the video. Now you're in the video.
Now I'm in the video, yeah. A little
So
surreal for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. The Corey G Fitness thing has just been awesome for me. I've been a real follower of it since the beginning of time, and that's been helpful. So anything I can do to help would be, I feel good about that.
So, John, I always like to get kind of initial, like you've said it to me off camera, right? Which
Yeah.
we've been off camera until now.
Yeah, that's right.
But the perspective of coming into the headquarters, obviously you're involved in the business too, but you're coming in really first as a lifter and as a person who's watched all the content. So the vibe of the morning, the vibe of the office, now you're inside of the podcast. Like just give people a little bit of your perspective because you've been around it forever.
I've been in it, and I've been watching, the videos, snippets, and everything forever. So now I walk into this thing after seeing a lot of photographs, a lot of text messages, some conversations. But when you actually get here, the vibe here is like of a startup tech company. Mm-hmm. It's hip, it's creative, it's energetic. We had a conversation yesterday, just ideas just flying all over the place, and everybody's receptive to it. That's not normal. Like, that's not the way things work normally.
Yeah.
Usually there's somebody pushing stuff down at you, and you have to figure out how to dodge out of the way and push back a little bit when you want to. But so to sit in here is incredible. But even before you get in here, you have to walk through old school gym. And that, for me, like, I've been following your workouts since 2010. So I was like,
Yeah. And
So
by
I
the
walked
way,
in.
I like that because if it was set up the opposite way, the way we got here was from old school gym.
Yeah.
So if you had to walk through Max Effort to get the old school, that's not the way it happened. It happened meaning that the grime of the weights is how all of us are sitting here.
Yeah.
Which is what I love.
And you walk in, and it's this old school gym. Like, it's raw, and it's perfect. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of a cool thing. So we were training the other day, and I'm watching, and I'm trying to stay out of the way at first. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, holy, I'm actually training with Corey right now. This is really a cool moment for me. So here I am. I'm excited to be here. It's been, I don't even want to leave. Like, I've been here for 2 days.
We're going to see John at least
Yes.
once. We're going to see him
he's
once a
coming.
quarter for sure.
We're like talking about that yesterday. So I'm reinvigorated here. And I was telling Corey, the pictures don't do it justice. But just getting to even know you guys has been exciting and electric for me. I feel like I just got more blood pumping.
Got the juice, boy. He got the juice.
I do. And I felt it yesterday. It was the first time under a bar in a year and a half because all my gyms, where I am, are closed. But then I walked in here yesterday, and I was like, I mean, we were in here. I get excited about stuff. I have to like apologize for it sometimes. So it's a thrill. It's a thrill for me. I was apologizing. So I'm like, I'm sorry. You know, I get excited about stuff. So that's how I like to operate. You know.
So good. The what I picked up, a couple things that I love in that community or really dig is like, John's been following a disciplined lifestyle for so many years, which is why he's super successful. This dude's eating out of Tupperware at his own house, not at the office.
Still,
not at the like. He's still preparing and eating out of Tupperware.
Fuck your China.
Yeah, out of his house. Like, well, when you just say that statement, you kind of know what time it is. And as we work together, like he was, you know, we're sending food and we're doing the one-on-one thing, which I only have 3 clients to do that. And John locked on to it, which was great because then we got to create a deeper relationship and understanding of what was going on here. And it's like, it's literally automatic. And and that's how it's happened. And it's spilled over across all you said it yesterday, financial and building the body really isn't that different. So elaborate on that for a second.
Yeah, it just takes discipline, right? So for me, you know, we talked about this a while back, you know, to have abs and to have financial freedom, it just takes discipline, right? We're all at different levels. Everybody's at different levels. You just have to be able to stay to your program. So for me, I don't even take pictures anymore of what I eat because it's just
the same
automatic.
thing.
I eat the same thing all the time. It's easy. It tastes good. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
If money comes in, I know I'm going to pay myself first. I'm going to put money for the future, and then I'm going to go do what I want, right? So that's how I operate.
I like that, especially when you end with the do what I want part.
Yeah. And there's a big difference because if I want to eat whatever I want, I'm not going to look the way that right? I need to eat what I have to eat to look the way that I want to look or feel the way that I want to look or feel. But if I have money, I either need something or I want something. And the more times that you go after what you want, it may not be what you need, and it might knock you off course.
Yeah.
So I might go home last night, Thursday night, dropped me off at the hotel, went down to the bar. I could have very easily grabbed a beer with the food that I
That'd have been real easy last night. It was a long day.
I was thinking about it, and I'm like, no, it's Thursday. So I might have wanted it, but I didn't need it. Mm-hmm. I needed the steak. I needed the stuff that I had. And I got up this morning at 3:30. I trained with you, and I'm still raring to go.
As basic as that checks and balances is, it's really that basic.
It's that simple.
To run it against that like washing machine of options, like, okay, what side is this on?
Yeah.
Especially when it's so short term. So if like discipline with you, like where did that originate for you? Like was there someone that you kind of looked up to, or I guess what aspect of your life did that start?
Yeah, let's start a little early, John. Give us some context. We jumped.
Yeah.
First off, you're becoming a great podcaster.
Yeah.
Did you hear that question?
Danny's questionability is unreal right now.
It's really
Well,
good. Your arms are huge. Your questions are getting better.
Well,
this shit is really coming together.
To be fair, I've been trying to just really listen the past couple of days.
Yeah.
So
he's being serious and we're making fun of him. You did
no,
good job.
myself.
It's a really good question. It's a really good question. It's my first time on the microphone, so I'll try and do it justice.
I was giving you.
You're
some
killing
room
it so far.
Yeah. So effectively, I think my family kind of broke up when I was 3. Like I remember when my dad was staying downstairs. It was a 2-level, and I stayed down with him, and it was last night. And I remember walking out the stairs. He was gone. That knocks you for a loop. You know, I'm 47. I still feel it sometimes, which is actually what makes me really into my kids and why I'm going to fly home. But it knocks you for a loop. So I think it makes you a little bit insecure. You know, like, is it me? Is it my sister? Is it my mom? Like,
yeah, true.
It's got to be me.
Every kid, I think, does that to themselves.
Yeah, and so it really hits home for you. And so at that point, like, you're a kid, and the back in the day, I grew up in I was born in 74, so that my heyday was in the 80s. What was happening in the 80s? Like, sports were really big. Professional wrestling was really big. Mm-hmm. You turn on the TV, and you look at these guys, and you're like, oh, they look like superheroes. That's what I need to look like. Because that's what I just thought guys looked like. Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Absolutely. Ricky the Dragon.
Yeah.
I want to look like Ricky the Dragon, man.
Yeah. And so you're looking at these guys, you're like, good God, man, that's what a guy looks like.
Yeah.
And so maybe it created a little bit of, well, how do I get from here to there? I'm not really the biggest dude in the world. I'm not the tallest guy in the world. So that's when I started, kind of figuring out. And I got into weightlifting, which is a little bit off your subject, but it kind of dovetails into it. Was My buddy and I, my best friend since 4th grade, I was telling you about him the other day. We walked in the first day of high school. You're like kind of scared. We're little guys. And this dude jacked us up against the lockers. Like our books went flying. Like we just flying all over the place.
Flailing.
What just happened here? So we go home. We go to my buddy's house, and his dad's kind of a rugged guy, He goes, "How's your day?" We're both like looking at the ground, great, And so my buddy Paul says, well, this happened. He goes, "Get in the car." I'm like, oh. He drives us down to a department store. He buys a barbell and those sand-filled weights. You remember those?
Yes, of course.
Plates. Brought us home in his basement, unfinished. It was just a bench and some plates. And we just started benching and working out. We started working. My buddy only does bench. He's got the biggest shoulders and triceps ever.
That's
no
amazing.
biceps.
Oh, yeah.
Like literally,
Only thing that matters. Yeah.
Still to this day.
That really resonates with Cole.
Yes. Yeah. So I really wasn't that super disciplined. I was 14 years old, 15 years old. It didn't really hit me until I was a little bit older, until I got out of college. So I played sports. I played baseball in college, Division III. Nothing great, but I worked out all the time. But the discipline really set off when I went to school. My parents basically said, because they didn't talk or whatever, and you got 4 years to get this done.
Okay.
I was like, oof, okay. I didn't even want to really go. I didn't, I was not a great student in high school. I thought I was going to play professional baseball. 5'9", that's really going to happen. And I got hurt. I blew up my ankle playing basketball right before I went. So I show up and I can hardly move. My ankle's still, you can see it when I stand up, it's still like crooked because I try to come back too soon. So I played my freshman year, and then my sophomore year, I walked in to a classroom of economics. The guy put supply and demand chart on, and I was looking in 3D, changed my major, and from that day, I sat in the front row and I got dressed up for class. No shorts. It was a job to me. And I loved it.
You knew it immediately, didn't you?
As soon as I saw it on the board.
Fucking love that.
As soon as he drew it on the board, I'd never even heard of it before. He's like, supply, demand. He was talking about McDonald's. His name is Larry Malone. I still talk with him. There's 2 professors, changed my life. All of a sudden, I realized I get it. You don't need to teach this to me.
That's your language. Yeah.
It was like he was speaking a different language to you, huh?
It was like the board.
Like yours.
It was he always used a blue pen, like one of those blue marker pens, and he had one of these boards. And I use the blue marker pens now because of it.
Of course.
So puts a blue marker, supply, demand, boom. And I was just like, what is this? This is economics? How do I change my major? Literally right after the class, he walked me down. We changed my major right then.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
But because I was so into it, I was a mediocre student, literally. I mean, I graduated top of the economics department. I was in it. I didn't miss a class. I never missed class.
That's why it's so important to find what you like, because same with me, mediocre at best, not interested. As soon as I found the thing I was interested in, I could not consume enough of it.
I couldn't, and I was so into it. I couldn't wait to go to class. Like all my buddies I'm living with, they're like, I'll go tomorrow. I did not miss. So I would go to class. I would go work out, baseball, do my homework at the library, and then after I was done with all of that, I'd go out.
Yeah.
I went out every night, but I was done with all my stuff, and I would do my work in advance, so it was done. So I didn't have to worry about this coming. I was already there. I was already done. So something just hit me when I was a sophomore in college.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then as you graduated, did you know that you wanted to go into financial planning and work with,
Great question.
obviously, hopefully wealthy individuals and build legacy wealth for people?
Yeah, so my dad was an old school stockbroker. It's different back in the day. It's not what you guys, financial planning was really, you buy this stock, you're going to pay me to buy that stock, and then I'm going to tell you when to sell it. And then you're going to pay me to sell it, and then you're going to pay me to buy another
It's
one.
very transactional.
It's all transactional,
Okay.
and there's no way that I could have your best interest in the heart, because if you don't buy and sell something, I'm not paying my bills.
Different setup.
It doesn't work. But that's how the old financial world worked. It's all transactional. It's like being a used car salesman, basically. I don't want to minimize what the advice to people, because there's some really talented people that used to run that way and still do. So my dad was in that industry, so I was kind of familiar with it. I didn't really know about it, but they started teaching me about the markets in school. So I was taking all those classes. I was getting into it. And then there was one class that was John Clemens is the professor. He's since no longer here, but he was the second professor who changed my life. He started a pilot program where you actually ran a simulation of owning and running an airline company.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really
It was
cool.
the coolest thing ever. And since then, they've changed the whole program, the whole school now. Like, that's their business program. It was incredible. So anyway, you would run the simulations, and whatever moves you made, your stock price moved.
Oh, hell yeah.
Interesting.
So we have all these. I was a team leader of one of them, and there was different groups, and we started making these moves, and I started buying everyone out in the class.
Yes.
No,
yeah.
but hold on.
Let's
it,
go.
It wasn't part of the simulation.
Of course.
So he calls me up and he says, "Can you come over to my house?"
This is amazing.
He goes, we don't really. I'm not really sure how to handle this because it's not in the.
You're
program.
blowing up the whole project.
So we basically-
hostile takeover.
So there was
Trailblazer.
two of us left. There was two of us left, kind of standing, and he was going to be out of business. So we just kind of. But that got me so stoked about business and finances. So
That's amazing.
yeah, it was a really cool experience. And one of my college roommates was in the class with me that I still talk to. He was the guy I was telling you about in Virginia. We still talk about it. Like, it had that much of an impact on us.
Huge impact.
Yeah. So then there was some sort of competition for an internship on Wall Street, which I was like, oh, I'll put my, and I ended up getting it, which was a gift and it was a curse because it ended up being at a place that was.
Kind of Wolf of Wall Street-ish.
It was. It was.
Yeah.
And I remember I called my dad up and I'm like, because he was a old school like stockbroker kind of guy, but he knew some people in New York, right? You have to. He's from New York. So I'm like, is there any way like you can get me on like the exchange floor or something while I'm down here? Let me get some value out of what I'm doing down here. So I call the school. I'm like, this is a disaster. Like, do you know what you got me into? And they're like, just write it out. I'm like, okay. So I wrote it out, but then during lunch breaks, I'll be like, I'll be back at 2, and I got to go to New York Stock Exchange.
That's cool.
Back then, there was the American Stock Exchange.
Yeah,
And I got
AMEX.
to be there in the pits and watch it, and I was like, this is amazing. So it's a really long answer to the question, but that's how I really got interested.
No, that's what we wanted. That's the sauce, boy.
And so I was really kind of focused on that. So I knew where I was going. When my junior year was ending, I was like done with college. I was like, I'm ready to be. Let's go. Like, I want to go. I'm ready to get jumping. And I ended up getting hired in Hartford, Connecticut, and then I had a choice to go to New York or Hartford. I just stayed there. But I knew what I wanted to do. But when I got there, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, but then it shifted to a part
Later.
that you really
Yeah,
enjoy.
so when I started, but even when I started at Prudential, it wasn't exactly what I thought I was getting myself into. And then, and then the whole world has kind of evolved, and we can get into that later if you want to.
What I've learned too of dealing with a few financial guys that really take a lot of value, because in that it's not transactional, you're really helping people build like generational wealth, really, and that they don't know how to do it. A lot of them, right? They might learn more along the process. So when they can come to you, like if I go to Joe and say, hey, I'm thinking about this, and he goes, well, how about, because I'm fucking nuts. So he's like, how about, talk me off the ledge. But it's like that, but that's the partnership that you're getting with that advisor to build this wealth. And then you see it, like you said earlier, or yesterday, about going multiple generations. I feel like that in a different way about health, because as you display your craziness of level of discipline and health, that's what all your little guys are seeing. That's what any family members see. Like, you become such a display of discipline in either way. But a lot of people don't match them together. Like,
Right.
You see a lot of really rich dudes that are super out of fucking shape.
Yep.
See a lot of really in shape dudes that ain't got no cash. To match both worlds, which are very similar. And I think being a teacher of one of the worlds, I think the value that comes back is very similar too, and it's just a different type of money.
Completely agree. Like, they are so similar. You've got to put the work in to both of them to be successful. Our job initially, what I was describing, to Cole with the transactional, that's kind of how you start in the business. You're kind of like a number. Like, what are your numbers? What are you doing? What are your assets? What are your revenues? All that stuff. And when you walked around, everyone closed their door. They didn't want to help you. They didn't want to do any of that stuff. So I ended up meeting a guy at the end of '96, who's still my business partner now, Jerry Goldberg. This guy is as sharp as they come, bright, hungry. He's an animal. I call him Pac-Man because he's just like he's just like the toughest dude. Like, he just just hammers through stuff. So we ended up meeting in a few years, fast forward 5 or 6 years, and we go through all the ups and downs in the markets, and we've got clients, and we're helping them out, and we think that we're being what's called a fiduciary for our client, which is you have to put your client's best interest first. Mm-hmm. No BS. If you do well, I do well. We do well together. We're in this together, And we always felt the way we thought about it was we're just one of the team. Like you have a doctor, you've got a lawyer, you've got an accountant, and you've got your trusted advisor. And we're part of the family. And that's where we are now. Yeah. So we figured out, back in 2015 or 16, because we were still part of those larger firms, like Prudential got merged with Wachovia, and then Wells Fargo came in, and we were there, and we realized that, maybe the firms themselves aren't acting in the best interest of their clients. Yeah. Unbeknownst to me, even though I am, but maybe, if you walk into any supermarket and you look at eye level on either shelf, like whatever product is at eye level, it's there because they paid to get there.
Yeah.
They didn't just happen to get there. Yeah. So if I'm going to buy X,
I learned that when I was in GNC.
Yeah, that's all I was thinking about.
Right, but we didn't really
this
put
is
that
a
in.
scam. What the fuck?
That's how it works. It's a business. They need to make money. So we didn't realize that if we were going to buy XYZ fund, which we thought was an amazing fund, if it was on one of their platforms in those big companies, how did they get there?
Yeah.
So when we kind of all pieced it together, we're like, wait a minute. So then we had to go out on our own to be fiduciaries. So like the way that we operate is exactly what you're saying, which is the only thing that matters is building up that family unit, like that trust with everybody. So when something happens in their life, like we're the first call. Like, let's model this out. Let's do this. Let's do that. So it's a really rewarding business.
Sure.
Now, it didn't start out that way just because of the structure of it. And so now it's just like I love talking to my clients. Like, you took me out to see a guy today. I don't even know him, but I was so interested in his business because he's a successful guy and something I've never seen before. So it's extremely rewarding, which I'm sure you get the same.
And you've probably
type of thing.
learned off, because there's so many people that you deal with that have created wealth, right?
Yeah.
That then you're, shepherding to another level, but it's like they all have such crazy stories. So I think it has to be just nugget after nugget, right?
I'm in this is my 25th year. I have seen people create wealth and success in every way imaginable.
That's so cool.
Yeah. and you sometimes, though, you have to see, and you have to have really hard conversations with people like, hey, this isn't going to work. Like, if you buy this house, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
And those are really difficult conversations, but that's when they actually look back on them after and like, hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Or their kids will say, hey, thanks. Because later on, as that money transfers, typically the parent will say, you need to talk to our people. They've been taking care of us for 20 years. They're going to, we trust these guys. And we're still really young. My partner's 7 years older than me. I'm fairly young in the industry. Most guys are older. So it's really important to get that financial education, because even people that have tremendous wealth, I have some clients that are super, super wealthy. They don't care. They don't know. They're focused on what they're doing. Yeah. They don't know what a dividend is. They don't care. It's very interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah. One story that you shared yesterday, I think that's interesting, is that you were dealing with a level of people that had, lots of money, and then the Bernie Madoff stuff comes around, right? Because everyone knows what Bernie Madoff is. Yeah. And then you're looking from your trained eye, like, how's this dude really making these returns?
Yeah.
Like, something ain't looking real right here.
Skeptical, yeah.
Yeah, my partner was talking to somebody, a client of ours, and he comes in, he's like, look at this. And we're just looking at it, and if my partner can't figure it out, nobody's figuring it out.
Yeah.
It's just not happening. But we actually sent it down to New York, and we're like, can you guys help us replicate this? Because if we can, this would be fantastic. And they came back.
It was because it was not real.
Yeah, they came back, and they're like, we have no idea. So then another person called us and was like, hey, can you take a look at this for us? And we're like, this doesn't work. We told them no. A couple weeks later, right on CNBC, they're walking out with this guy, Bernie Madoff. The guys call us up and like, thank you so much.
Yeah, he saved guys millions of dollars
for not putting it in.
Yeah, because that money is gone.
Yeah, they've been recovering it over years. Like, they clawed back. So imagine this: like, you are getting these statements that your portfolio has gone up and up and up and up, right? So you make decisions in your life based off of that. right? You might buy that extra thing, or you might not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm getting these huge returns. Let me get that yacht, player.
Yeah. So now, so now they're like,
That's exactly what was happening.
That's exactly what was happening. And so then they're like, excuse me, Mr. Gregory, it was really not true.
It's really all fake.
And you need to send some of that money back.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Oh
what?
my
I spent
gosh.
that money. So they've recovered like 60 or 70. I don't know the exact amount, but they have recovered. It's taken a long time. And I think the guy just died in jail not that long ago.
Unbelievable.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, could you imagine if your Robinhood statement or your like the statement you get was literally just fabricated completely? And once again, you make decisions in your whole life based off that stuff.
And families are wiped out. The owner of the New York Mets, the Wilpons, they got into real financial trouble because they had a lot of money with him. So they couldn't buy certain guys. And, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Real stuff.
It's gonna be
Real
like a
stuff,
documentary or a movie or something.
Yeah.
It's gotta be.
So the fact that we have a mic and a floor with a guy like this, you guys have financial questions. Roll.
This is amazing.
I know,
to
right,
listen
Trey?
to,
Do Trey.
Yeah,
Please,
love-
Trey.
I just love listening to it,
Yeah.
just being like in stocks and shit myself, just because like
Tell him when you started trading, Trey.
I started trading sophomore year of high school.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and I've built quite the portfolio myself, and I've just done it by myself. So like,
Good for you,
listening to someone else, I just love listening to this shit.
I knew you. I knew you would be heavy.
But
like,
what you just said, you started trading in high school.
Yeah,
the barrier of entry is so different,
Yeah.
John, from when you come into the game,
You know,
right?
I started with $100.
Unbelievable. Like that's just not like back when we started. I was telling Corey, it wasn't electronic.
Yeah, I was just doing it on my phone in study hall.
I had to write like
That's
a paper
crazy.
thing out, like you want to buy 1,000 shares of XYZ, and like it was so rudimentary. And these guys are down on the exchanges matching the stuff. I mean, look it up. It's like real stuff. The fact that you're investing.
That's
now,
wild.
I would like you to change what you just said. Trading is one thing. Investing is a
I trade.
completely different thing. I understand that.
Yep.
I'm saying at some point in your life,
Yeah.
you're going to want to invest.
Yeah, I do have investments too,
Good.
though. Yeah, I have both, but a majority of my portfolio is trading. I'll chop it up with you after. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it's looking like.
Awesome. Well, good for you. I'm glad you're in the game, as they say.
Yeah.
Cole, what you got?
First off, I want to go back to the college thing. I had the same like epiphany with economics. I like didn't understand shit, but as soon as I saw the graph of how everything connected, I was like, holy shit, it took me back. But then like how whenever you had these projects where you'd like simulate the airlines, the same thing where I got to work with actual businesses to make their marketing plan. That's whenever shit really started to connect, and that's when it made impactful. But I'm like more interested on like the side of how you got to the position of where you are compared to your first spot. Because a lot of people my age, they get tripped up that their first job is not in the position they want to do, and they do things that are pretty shitty.
Yep.
But then just like how I started out entering for
the
free.
entry point is like where people get tripped up. Where you start, which was Cole Susak packing a sack, which was Trayvon's packing a sack, which was Danny half working at Nationwide, half posting on the blog. Like it's not where you are now, but people get really bent out of shape on
So
that.
you say they get intimidated by it's like the start.
Or they
that
don't wanna
stops
do
them?
it.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's just like you go into a field and you get this job, but it's not you're not doing what you want to do. But most people my age can't conceptualize that. Oh shit, it might take like 2 or 3 years to eventually get into a better position. You know.
That's
So
a
it's
really
weird.
good question.
So so what was your spot
Yeah.
like?
So when we were graduating at college, I remember them saying, in your career, this is back in the 90s, you're going to have 5 different careers.
That's interesting.
You're going to have 5 different kind of jobs.
I can
and
kind of
careers.
identify with that.
So I said to myself, not me. I'm doing this one time. Whatever it takes. Now, did every day go great?
Yeah.
I was sitting on the phone cold calling people. Dude, all day from 9 to 9. Then I'd go to the gym, and I eat Subway, I was telling you, every night, and I blew up, I'm benching these huge numbers, but I blew up. It was awful. Anyway, it's no different than, having to grind out another set when you're training. It's all a mindset. So for me, there was no way I was going to fail. No way. When I was in high school, I was working at this department store called Bradley's. It was like before Walmart took over the world and put everybody out of business. I was unloading trucks, and every night after practice, on the weekends, I was working, and I came upstairs one time. They put me on the floor in like sights and sounds, which put me in hard enough to put me in front of a microphone. So
This guy.
So this guy, the manager, his name was Mr. Zero, and never forget, he was like hammering me on something, like just pounding me. And I said to myself, boy, if I'm 40 years old and I'm working here, my life did not go the way that it needs to go. So I knew at that moment, and I was in high school, like this is one time I'm going to go after something and go after it hard. And there was a time when I was in there, it wasn't going that well. I was about to tap out. I was like, I don't know if I could do it anymore. I was doing like 12, 15 hours a day. I was living in a buddy of mine's basement with no windows. I literally put my head down for my 20s, but I couldn't get myself to quit because I was still doing really well. Like in the classes, I got hired with like 200 people, and like after a year, there's 10 left, I was always in the top, even though I was the youngest, because I was going to grind it out as best I can. I was going to hang on and scratch and claw. So to answer your question, it's up here. There was no option for me. I was not going to do anything else and try and start over again. And maybe that was insecurity. I don't know what it is, but that's where it was for me. It still is. Come out to max, this place is going to be a monster. It's not going to fail.
Facts.
See, like whenever I was starting out, like my first job was to count like 10 million fucking test boosters out of each box. But and obviously in my head I'm thinking this fucking blows. But I knew long term.
Can we get that on a quote somewhere?
Yeah. I knew long term that it would eventually like evolve to where I'm doing something else. I always like kind of believed in that if I just grind through this, eventually
It's going to happen.
it's going to
I
like
say you
grow.
gotta get in the game.
Yeah.
You gotta get in the. You gotta get in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to be in the door.
Yeah, and then it took. I mean, that was a long process of just packing sacks until eventually I started designing. Now I'm even doing more.
I remember
than
the
that.
day where you pulled your desk in the corner.
Yeah.
And you were like, "This is where I'm going to be sitting at now.
It's
And
so
this
great.
is what I do now
It's
for
so
the
great.
It's
business."
just, I mean, it literally just like evolves, but I think people get tripped on like, oh, I'm just packing sacks nonstop.
I don't think people can see through the trees.
I packed
think that's the problem.
stacks for like a year and a half, 2 years until
Yeah.
I finally just did it. You know?
Well, we live in an era of quick, fast, and easy, right? And everybody wants everything so fast. I've been grinding it out for 25 years. And I'm fortunate enough I have an unbelievable team and great partners and allow flexibility. I mean, but we're all focused on the same mission, right? Everybody wants the same thing, want to take care of our clients. That's it. But it wasn't a smooth ride, ever.
Yeah.
And life isn't. And I always remember Bruce Lee, be water. You just kind of flow where you need to go and do that, right? And so I've lived through with our clients, talking about that trust. Like I started in the late 90s and the markets were up and away. And then all of a sudden these tech stocks, you want to talk about a painful time. The tech wreck happened and then 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
And the economy went into the toilet, and it didn't go in the toilet for a couple of minutes like it did during COVID. It was down for years. We were talking about this yesterday, Danny. You watch your portfolio get cut in half and stay down there for a couple of years.
Yeah. That's a different reality.
It takes some fortitude, and that's when you need somebody who's looking out for you and be like, hey, listen, you have your stock money market. That's not for tomorrow. That's for 15 years from now.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Your safer money, let's put some more in while it's down.
Yep.
And then you put it in, it goes down another 20%.
Which is what happened.
That's what happened. Then you put more in, it went down another 20%. You're like, good God.
CT
Yeah.
calls that testicular fortitude.
Love
I'm pretty
that.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Good.
Wow.
Shit.
Yeah, shout out
Yeah,
CT.
mind blown.
Shout out CT.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is like just believing in like the vision. I know
Long
like
term.
because like that was similar to what Cole was just talking about. I was on my own island essentially since it was July. I have very specific dates in my mind. July 2016 to basically this past November. Like I wasn't ever in the office, so I'd talk on the phone, but it's not the same. But I always believed or understood where it was going, and that was a huge testament to Corey, obviously because he could communicate that well. So
The long term. Well, you were saying this is I think a good point to bring. You were saying the dividend was the only thing paying. That was where that's where the return came from during that time.
So we were
which
talking
is what-
about that.
I love dividends, and this is a great example.
So if
That's the
I don't
hedge.
have the exact numbers, and we can look it up as soon as we're done. From the beginning of the 2000, we had the tech wreck and then 9/11. Okay, and it started to bottom out and recover in 2003. Then we had a great run up into 2007. Then you had the mortgage crisis, the financial crisis, where you had huge banks going under, a lot of panic. 2008 went down, they lowered interest rates, and finally started to recover. It bottomed out March of 2009. I think I don't remember I think it was 666 on the S&P, and then it started to move up. So from 2000 to 2010, if you put money into the market, the S&P 500, let's say, it didn't go anywhere. It is called the lost decade.
Oh, wow. Like that's what you guys refer to it in
It's the
your world.
lost decade.
Wow.
Damn.
The only money you made was, your dividends essentially.
Yeah.
But if you had a balanced portfolio, it wasn't just all stocks, your bonds did pretty well. So you actually made a little bit.
Yeah.
But the market was lost. So we'll look that up when we're done and get our
Wow.
numbers right.
interesting.
But think about it, 10 years, you didn't make a nickel.
That weighs on you.
Yeah. And so, the trading aspect evaporated. There was no quick, easy, fast money.
Sure.
So
Nothing's
that's
going
when
up.
your plan, that's when you have to believe in your plan.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's when I have this plan, and we've got clients, that live through all that. I had a guy that retired. It's a great story. I've got a guy, and he's such a great guy. So I have this guy, a great client of ours. He retired in 1999, give or take, with, let's just say, a couple $1 million. We'll just use really simple math, okay, because the numbers will work out. And he spent $100,000 a year, let's say, for the 10 years.
That's his whatever percentage.
Yeah, he
he's
was going to
dropping.
pull out
Yeah.
100,
I got it.
100,000. So there's $1 million he took out.
That off the balance, off the principal.
Off the principal.
Yeah.
But now let's extrapolate it out. So he's lived through all of this stuff, 2008. Now it's 2021. Okay, he's got a balanced portfolio. He's taken 100,000 out, so he's spent over $2 million so far. Do you think he has any money left?
Because the last 10 years he does.
So what do you think? Give me a guess. What do you think he's got left?
Here, let me do some.
Just quick math. He started with 2. He spent 2 for 20
I bet
years.
he's got 4 left.
400,000?
No,
4 million.
4 million.
No, that would be incredible returns.
Yeah.
You're way too high.
I'm really giving you too much.
You're way too high. Anybody else have a guess?
500K.
Great guess.
750.
Great guess.
Millie.
He's got $1.6 million left.
Okay.
So he had a nice balanced portfolio, spent that much, and lived through.
All that.
Don't forget.
And had 100 racks a year coming
Don't forget,
to him.
when he retired in 1999, the market went down how far from 2000, 2003?
Yeah.
Right out of the gates.
Yeah, 50%.
Yeah, boom. So it works, but
Yeah.
you have to believe in the plan, because if he sold at any one of those times,
Done.
they'd be out of money.
Yeah.
Like if they just panicked and they got out, right?
I remember Rachel's dad literally retired like late 2007.
Oh,
And so I was like, and then because everything was popping, and then bang, it was literally cutting 50%.
Ugh.
And I remember Randy telling me like, hey, guys are taking their 401s out, the coal miners. They're, like people thought shit was like going away. But Randy didn't take it out, thankfully. And Ray's dad didn't take it out. They just wrote it out. But what you're telling your advisor you need to pull now all of a sudden is coming off the, off the thing that you thought you were making percent. You think you're going to make what's an average return now? 7% a year. What is the industry standard?
Yeah, I think
people
the
go
market over the last 100 years is probably averaging somewhere around 7 a year if
Okay.
you're all in the market. And I would say that most people that have a tremendous amount of wealth aren't all in the market.
Yeah,
So knock that down. Like they're averaging 4 to 5% a year, let's say.
Yeah,
Like, give or take. I don't.
and kind of the numbers that you read online is like you want to draw 3-4%,
Yeah.
right? So you're really drawing off of your money you
Exactly.
make. That's
Yep.
the plan. So the principal, but for 10 years, if it's coming off the principal,
Yep.
that'd be tough to look at.
So that's
and
when it takes that.
those calls you're fielding are probably
Yeah.
not amazing.
They're not great. They're when we spend a lot of our time just reminding people
Good way to explain that.
of why we are invested the way that we're invested, because it has a purpose. You eat the way that you eat for a purpose.
True.
We put money in different sectors or allocations or asset classes for a reason, right? And so you might have to tweak what I'm eating, or you might tweak what you're eating for a specific goal, right? You're powerlifting,
Yeah.
so you might
I need to
add
go
on
up.
some mass. You might
Sure.
want to get cut, so you might cut some stuff out. No different with a portfolio.
Okay.
You have to change it to match what they're trying to accomplish. So you might have to go heavier here, lighter there, that type of thing. But you always have to remind them of the plan, because as you know, that there's an old saying, and my partner always says it, you make plans and God laughs. Right? Because things don't happen the way that you have them mapped out.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. And so, but that's the same thing with your portfolio, your life, everything. So you just have to remind people, and it's hard sometimes.
For sure.
And there are times, let's be fair, after 9/11, I was sitting in my office with Wendy. Wendy Duncan's been with us this is now her 20th year. She's everything to for me and for our clients. And we were sitting in my office in Hartford, Connecticut at the time, watching what was happening. Our whole world just got, you guys are so young, you don't, our whole world changed like that. And so what they did right after that, because it was right in New York City and Washington and what have you, they closed the exchanges. So that happened on a Tuesday at 8:30. It didn't open on Tuesday. It didn't open on Wednesday. It didn't open on Thursday. And it didn't open up on Friday. So now imagine you've got money in the market and the markets are closed.
Yeah.
And you don't know whether there's another plane coming. You don't know. We didn't. You were there. You don't know what was coming.
I was in my first year of business.
You were in your first year of business.
People were scared.
We were all fearful
Yeah.
of the unknown and what was coming, what was the next wave. But now, what are the markets going to do when they open up
Yeah.
on Monday? So a lot of people went home and stayed home because the markets are closed. We didn't. We called people. We had no answers. We just wanted to let them know.
But you weren't dark, though, too.
We just want to let them know that we're here for them, but we're in pain, too.
Yeah.
We're in pain. Like all of us, a whole country, we're mourning or watching the rubble, and it was devastating. But we made the phone calls, and they appreciate that we made the phone calls because we're in it with them. We're family, So that's really what it's all about.
So rewarding, John. It's got to be.
It is really rewarding to watch people live the life that they want to live, that they set out to live, right? Maybe not exactly the way it was, but then to be able to set up their kids and do things. There are so many people out there that are dying young, right, and get sick, and if they don't appreciate what they have. So to be able to tell somebody, hey, go out and take that trip, you can afford it. Look, you've been so disciplined and so great. So those are the good conversations to have, and then there's the ones where it's like people skirt on the edge, and it makes it more challenging.
Yeah.
So I get a tremendous amount of job satisfaction having conversations with our clients and relationships and just being there for them. Yeah. And they're there for you too, right? I've been introduced to different organizations by clients that now I bring my baseball team to, and so it's really kind of cool.
Yeah, it's real cool.
Yeah, it's been great. I got great partners, and life's good. But you have to be disciplined.
That's at the end of the day. It's just like with anything.
Yes, I was saying Danny the other day, stack it and rack it.
As I was telling
Explain
you.
that.
Yeah.
If you get money, put it away. Stack it and rack it like a brick on those walls over there. Like every time you get a paycheck, you put some in for you. Right now, pay yourself. Put some away for your future, and then do something else.
Can you talk about that specifically right there, because that's like backwards for like the normal person.
It's not. Look, you can't always do it, right? If you're starting out and you need to get a car, or you need to get some stuff, it's hard to do. But I always
what do you mean by pay yourself first?
Sure.
I guess. Yeah, that's
a great point. Yeah. So I get a paycheck, you get a paycheck. Take your paycheck and you set aside a certain percentage of that in your bank account, in your Robinhood account, somewhere where it's for you, not to be spent, for you. Then you want to put some money away in a long-term investment. So you've paid yourself some cash. You've got it here for a rainy day if you need it, emergency, and then put some money away in the fund, whatever, in the markets. You guys are young. Put it away, and then, I want that watch, or I want those jeans, and then maybe set a reward for yourself, right? You do it that way. But most people take that money in, and they just go out and spend it. Right? We're just talking to somebody who's just like, they just go spend it because they can. So I always wanted to, I never wanted for anything. I didn't want to ever ask for help either. Mm-hmm. So I was telling Corey, I lived in a condo up until 2013. And we didn't have enough room. We had Tristan, and then my son Brock was going to be born in 2013. We moved into a house, built a house, and moved into a house.
Where do you think the not want any help comes from?
Well, my folks are divorced, and so my mom had to she went to Syracuse, and then she had to put herself back to school and she became a librarian. And so I lived next door to her sister, my aunt and uncle had 2 kids, and they lived right next door to us. So they're really tight. We're all really tight. He's a successful guy. And so he had the cars and he had all this stuff. And I remember I was telling you the story. I was driving home from college. I had this old red Pontiac Sunbird that my mom had scraped some money together to get. I love that car. Drove in high school, drove in college, red with silver on the bottom. And
Sexy.
Thing was awesome. And I'm driving home from school, and the car broke down on the side of the road. Literally, like, someone come pick me up. I'm an hour and a half away from home. That car is dead. Like, it's not getting anywhere. So I had saved some money, and then some stuff happened, and somehow that money went from money to not money quickly. And I went to ask my dad. I needed $2,000 for a down payment for a Volkswagen Jetta. Because I had done a great job. I worked, I saved, I worked in college, I saved some money out, some stuff happened. And it's like, I don't have it. I'm like, what? Like, really, dude? I need it for a week. Like, my paycheck's coming. My first paycheck's coming next week. I need a car. I don't have it. Can't give it to you. And that's when I decided.
I ain't asking nobody.
I don't need any help. Forget it. So I don't have great grandiose desires. It's just not my nature, because I want to have the financial flexibility and freedom to do what I want, when I want, how I want.
What's interesting though too, John, is when some people are like that, right? Like you said, that's just how you are. Then there's usually an aspect of that where they're not happy for when other people have stuff that they're like. For instance, you're not really a car guy.
Not a car
But you
guy.
got in my car and you're like, this is fucking
Amazing.
awesome.
It's unbelievable.
That's exactly what he said to me. So he appreciates it for.
I love it.
For me.
Yeah.
But it's not. There's no, like, I feel not 1 ounce of judgment from it.
None.
But that's not how it is normally. That was kind of my point of this whole thing, is that usually people, and so maybe they say they're like that, but they're not really like that. So I think that maybe that's where it comes from. You're really like that. You're not a flashy dude. You're not going to ask to be on this show. You might not even want to be on this show.
I didn't even want to be on that. I'm sitting around the picnic table like, I'm ready to roll.
He saw the empty chair and he was sitting over here.
Like,
What do you mean?
I'm good.
So
How about you guys?
my point is though, you can put yourself in the other person's shoes in an authentic way, and it's something you probably don't even know. You can
don't
just
even
feel it exactly.
recognize that.
But I haven't been around a lot of people that are like that.
You know,
Does that make sense?
it does make sense now that you're saying it. The reason is, I think, I read a book a while back. Someone gave it to me when I was out in San Francisco. It's called Abundance.
Okay.
The world is abundant. There's plenty of stuff out here for all of us to be successful. So your success, Corey, doesn't take away from anything of my success.
Yep.
If you want to roll around in a Rolls Royce, man, fantastic.
Yeah.
And the fact I get to ride in it is even better.
Which
It's
is,
cool.
he even said, like, you're picking me up in that, right?
Yeah. Like, let's go. I walked out there today and I'm like, shouldn't someone get the door for me?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want to touch
Hit the button.
Hit
Hit the button.
Yeah, hit the button. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hit
good.
the button. So no, I genuinely, I'm on a path.
Yeah.
In the way that I look at things, and I think you have the similar mindset. Like, I just want to put a good vibration out in the world.
For sure.
And I heard, ironically enough, Dorian Yates. I don't know if you guys all know Dorian Yates, but
Yeah,
he
sure.
went from this mass monster to now he's just a very relaxed, chill, philosopher kind of guy. And I was listening to an
He's an
interview.
interesting character.
Corey, I read his biography and I've watched a couple of videos of him because he achieved something at such a level with such focus.
Such a level.
Forget about the drugs.
Yeah.
The guy, you don't look like that without. He was basically a monk
Yeah.
for 12 years.
For sure.
So
I trained at that gym before.
Oh, you did
in Birmingham.
Oh my gosh,
It's
I would love
insane.
to get
the
down
blood
there.
and guts or whatever the hell he called it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so I always look for people that I can learn from. So he's like, I don't know if there's a more disciplined human being in the world, right? 6-time Mr. Olympia, the way he did it. But anyway, he was telling a story on some podcast or in some movie, and he goes, I view myself as a drop in the ocean. So if you think about like let's just think about a still body of water, like a lake. I live on a lake now, so I was thinking about this. But that lake, if there's a drop and you're the drop, that drop has a really small ripple, right? And it's just really small. And that's kind of our time here on earth. Think about all of the people that you've helped in your life. So I've taken one thing from Corey, so you're the drop, and now I use it and I share it with anybody at my office, anybody on my baseball team, my family. Now all of a sudden, your ripple just expanded because now it became my ripple. And on and on and on. And it hit me when he said that.
Fuck with all this.
I was like, this is unbelievable. So the way that I approach it is I try and do the same thing, right? So I've learned so much from you.
Yeah, thank
I'm
you.
a fan of yours. I've become a friend of yours. You help me every day. If I can help you at all, you call up with the one thing. And
you have tremendously.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I can give back in that way,
sure,
good stuff's going to happen, all over the place. So the world's a crazy place, but if I just think of myself as that one little raindrop, and I've got a high school kid who's on my team who's struggling with something, and I can help him, and he remembers that, and then he helps somebody, like that. Isn't that what it's all about?
It is what it's all about.
So I got that from Dorian Yates.
Of all people.
That's amazing.
So that Temple Gym, that's what
Temple
it's called.
Gym, that's what it's called. Blood and Guts was the video he did.
I was at this is off topic, but it's an amazing story. I'm at a trade show in the UK, never been there before, Birmingham, and I'm like looking around, where am I going to train at? And I realize, holy shit, Temple Gym is 20 minutes from here.
Wow.
I'm like, I got to go. I saw the old videos with Dorian, so I catch a cab over there. First off, you walk in, it goes downstairs. You get to the bench, it's on a dirt fucking floor. I mean, this place is like, it's so small too. I mean, it's not much bigger than this, the room. And it was just like, it smells like balls. I mean, it's like in a 300-year-old building. I mean, it was like, we're raw. This motherfucker is real. I got balls.
Balls and roll.
Diamond balls.
Yeah. Diamond hands. So it was, but it was an amazing experience because I'd been to all these other gyms and I wasn't even trying to go to that gym. Wow. But when I realized how close, I was like, yep, I'm in. Yeah. It was cool.
It's cool. And, I wasn't a big bodybuilding fan or, I wasn't like a Dorian Yates fan until really a long time. I saw a clip of him and I just started doing some research and now just to listen to that, like that. Yeah. It's kind of changed my life.
He pushed the limits, man.
Yeah.
Well, if you really think about it, because I just came off living on that boat for a week not that long ago, and you think about just being one drop in that body of water, that's really the reality of it.
It is, right? It hit me, almost like the supply and demand chain curve. I was like, whoa,
I think a show like this has the ability to hit people in the same way. One thing you say, one question that Cole asked. I mean, Danny's asking amazing questions. there's one of these things like.
Took me aback with that one.
But no, it's set up though. The whole, backstory of what we needed, which was great. But it's like, that's why I think I'm so passionate about the content. That's why I love doing the Daily Fires, why I love podcasting. John, you're not going to come out and tell this story. It's just not what you do. We have to pull it out of you in a good way, right? That's why I think in this show, some of my contacts that will never see the microphone because they're just not into it, and they might even be consumers of the content. But I feel like we have an ability to bring some stories out that you probably wouldn't find on the internet because it's not something that you do on a regular basis.
I'm not on social media really. It's
just
to follow you guys,
which is amazing, by the way.
I'm not in.
So it's like, I take a lot of pride in knowing that there's so much goodness in what you just already laid out on this microphone today, that we can pull that out into the world a little bit, because that's what I'm so passionate about the media, which is why we built this room. Because the 2 daily fires that I can do a week, the podcast that we can do, we know there's light bulbs being turned on, and you never know who's listening and what day they need it on and what they're going to go to next after this because of one thing you said. And once again, I think it's that I always look at it like this. Brock could watch this show 10 years from now because he might not be into it for a while. Yeah. And then he's going to come around. What about that crazy Max Effort dude Dad used to work with? Oh, never did watch that video. It's like we're teaching not only people we don't know. I really believe we're teaching people that we do know. We just might not even know them yet. It could be Brock's kids. Yeah. It could be, AG's kids. I think about that whenever we're producing content, which is why I'm so passionate about it.
And it's so good because I can tell you, I listen to all that stuff, and I think you put the written word together for your daily fires on the Max Effort site, and I copy and paste them. I put them in a little file on my computer so I keep them and I can draw on them. So. Copyright or whatever, excuse me. But I
think you're in deep enough. We're good, John.
I'm in. But I was, my son Brock is a really active, energetic. He's all in on everything all the time, And so some days you come home. I mean, we're all adults, and sometimes we have bad days, sometimes we have good days,
Sure.
and we try and be our best. But sometimes life gets the best of us. And there was a few nights where he was just like hammering me to go down in the basement and throw him some pitches or have a catch. I'm just like, dude, I'm like so tired, And then you did a daily fire, and like I always want to say yes. I never want to say no. And after that, I told my wife, I go, geez, I just watched this thing, and I'm so pissed at myself for saying no. So now I don't say no. You want to go throw the ball?
Yep.
6 o'clock in the morning? Let's go.
Yeah.
You want to go down?
He'll
and hit?
never forget it, John.
And now I'm always saying yes. She goes, be careful. I go, it doesn't matter. Because there's going to come a point in time when you get to an age where
he's not even going to ask anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm seeing that with my older kids because they're busy.
Yeah. So you made a huge impact not only on my life, but also on my little guy's life just from that daily fire.
Just because I was struggling with making sure I say yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're all going through it.
Yeah.
That's why I think capturing things at certain points of the time, too. Danny's about to have a baby soon. He's going to start the end of it's like, as these guys get wifed up and start thinking, like, it's like everyone has these different pieces of time that they're in their kind of path. And it's like, that's why I think capturing those little nuggets like that, there's a lot of other people that probably were running through the same thing or never even maybe thought about how it affects. Right. But I know how it's, because my dad always said no. So then I said, I don't want to say no. I want to be the guy that says yes, even though all those things are going on because they don't care.
They don't care. They don't understand. They don't understand.
They don't care that the Dow's down this much.
He doesn't.
He just wants to play catch.
He wants to have a catch. Yeah. And so I've had kids later. So, we were talking about this, the other day. I don't miss anything. Like I missed a practice last night, but I'm getting
because you chose.
Because I'm out here, but I'm getting on a plane tomorrow really early so I can make it. I asked the team to move the game back from 10 to 11 because I land at 10:30 so I can get there for his game. Otherwise, I would have hung out here on Saturday, but I don't want to miss it. Yeah. It's an 8-year-old fall baseball game. Kid pitch. It's going to be a walk fest.
It's a walk fest.
And I'm going to hustle back, and I'm just going to get off the plane, and the field's 15 minutes from the airport, and as long as I'm on time, I'll be there.
But if there's a hit that you missed, you'd be upset about it, and I would be too. That's how
I won't miss.
Yeah.
I won't miss.
Yeah,
I don't want to miss. I want to be there. Like I can't. That's what I'm here for. Right?
Yeah. So good.
Yeah. Well, I have one more thing for you.
Man.
So as far as like you seem like a very reflective, like aware person in general. Like how do you?
Oh, I wasn't.
But like
now, we were just talking about
but now you obviously are. Like you obviously are a thinker. Like how do you even cultivate that, or what do you like if somebody wants to become more aware, or if you feel like you need to say something to like, I don't know if it's a sibling or something like that. What do you say to them? Or like where do they even begin?
You had a shift though, because you just talked about this in the car on the way over here.
Because it changes it's different for everyone.
And everybody's different,
yeah.
And your comfort levels, all of our comfort levels are different. I'm kind of a shy person, so if you drop Corey and I in a room, Corey's going to make a lot of friends. I'm going to slip out the back door and head out.
I'm the same way. That's why part of why I'm asking.
And that's cool. I'm not very comfortable sitting here on the mic at the moment, but we're having a conversation amongst guys, and it is what it is.
We forced Danny to be here too, so don't feel bad.
Yeah.
And so
it only took a year.
To your point, though, when I started to, I have like a worksheet that I think I shared with Corey.
I took a picture of it.
Yeah. And so every morning, what I do is I get up in the morning and I stretch out because I'm getting older and my back's tight and I gotta do whatever. And then I do like 15 or 20 minutes of yoga, really quiet yoga, as I'm getting ready to lift. Probably not the best thing to do before you work out, but it gets my mind really quiet and still, because as you know, with technology, you're always in your phone. It's hard to stop and think, and that's the time that I can really stop and think. So after I do that, I work out, I get my head right, I'm ready to go. I sit down and I write out my worksheet. And the first thing on that worksheet, Danny, it says, what are you grateful for? So I might be having a really shitty morning, but I might be grateful that my son just came over and gave me a high five. It could be that simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, what are you looking forward to doing today? It could be anything. It could be
1,000 rep arm workout today.
It was without Cole Susak.
Yeah.
My bad.
Without Cole Susak. But that's exactly what I wrote down. Like working out at old school gym, I was excited to go there. I wasn't intimidated. I was excited to be there.
Yeah.
And after that, the next question, the third question is like, what's my purpose? What am I here for? So if I'm here for, not what I write down is I try and be the best person that I can be. I don't always win, but I also want to help other people be the best that they can be on that particular day. So I want to be the best dad, best husband, business partner, friend, uncle, cousin, you coach, you name it. And then there's a list of things that I write down. There's too many to talk about now, but the fourth question is, what the hell are you going to do today to lead you to that? So if it's having that tough conversation with my sister about whatever, if that's going to make me the best person that day or the best brother, I'm going to have that conversation, even if I don't want to have it. I'm going to have it. And that's how I start my day. And I write down a whole bunch of things. So that's like the top half of the page.
Yeah.
And then there's a really good book. You've all heard about it. You might not have read it, called The Four Agreements. You ever heard of it?
I've read it. Miguel.
You read it?
I've only heard of it.
What's his name?
Miguel
something,
Ruiz.
Yeah.
Something.
That's really good.
But I write those 4 agreements down every day.
What are they, John?
Be impeccable with your word.
Okay.
Don't take anything personally. Don't make any assumptions. Just try and be your best for the day. They're pretty damn simple.
Yeah.
So read that book. Like that book, it gets a little mystical and sometimes it's tough to get through. And I was listening to the audiobook and I've got
And that might have been because I think I downloaded and I got lost a little bit. I'll go back to it though.
You have to get past the intro because I stopped and started it like 50 times.
Okay.
And then
So
there's
that
like
wasn't
some
just
weird
me
music
then.
in there.
Yeah.
It's a bit much.
Felt like I was at the magical kingdom.
I'm lunging up the hill and there's
It's not
I'm
very
like
long.
lunging up the hill. I'm listening to this and there's mystical music going on. I'm like why? I need some music. So it took me a while.
I'll
to get
come
through
back to it though now. Okay.
So I write that stuff down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, geez, I'm 47. Do I really need to be writing all this stuff down? But I do, because it's a reminder for me not to get lost in the BS that's going to come up during the day.
I would say all this stuff just keeps you in the present, John.
It keeps me as present as I can possibly
Yeah.
be. That's one of my things. I stole it from Joe Madden, the old manager of the Cubs. He used to, I don't know if you ever saw his lineup card. There's a great book called The Cubs Way, and they took a picture of his lineup card, and he writes down on the lineup card all these little things. So I copied that, and that's where I got the idea to write all this stuff down. So I write all this stuff down, like be patient, listen, breathe, like be humble, be grateful, don't complain, little things like that. So I write all this stuff down, but he wrote one down that be present, not perfect.
Well, yeah, it's impossible to be
It's
perfect.
impossible, but just be present. So when your kid's talking to you, put your phone down.
Yeah.
You know how hard that is for a lot of us? Right? Put your phone down. He's asking you a question, So I write that stuff down and remind myself, and then I write down lower, at the end, what are the things I have to do today? I need to talk to my sister about that thing. Mm-hmm. And then I cross stuff off as I do it during the day. That's my
It's
day.
amazing what you put off too. Like even if it's
I won't
trivial
put it off
after the
if
fact.
it's on that sheet. But if I don't put it on the sheet,
You ever know it should be on the sheet, but then you didn't write it off?
Yeah.
I have. So here's what I do. So you've seen, I have them on a clipboard.
Yeah, I know that, which is amazing. He
I'm on a
pulls it out of his
clipboard.
backpack on a clipboard.
It's on a
What?
clipboard.
Just a
Yes.
bunch of just normal computer paper printed off.
And I'll
Amazing.
keep the week on there. So there
So
might be
good.
something that I know that I have. So there's something on there. There's things that I must do today.
Sure.
And then there's things that I must start, and then projects that I
Okay.
might get going. So I'll put that thing that I might not want to get to
Sure.
in that project to get started.
Yeah.
And if it's not crossed off, because I have a whole
Carries.
week there, and then I'll move it to the next day, and then it needs to slide up on that.
For sure.
I got to punch that thing.
I
off
love
on
it.
this. Yeah.
All of this stuff has obviously contributed to why you're able to operate how you are. When I used to try to kind of tell my processes to people, I would get a lot of, which it didn't matter, but I know this is what people get in their families, so that's why I'm bringing it up. Well, all that stuff's so magical, and so positive, and basically almost like your head's in the cloud, your head's in the dirt or the clouds, however you want to look at it. That's not reality, right? And I used to then come back and say, well, I could pick 9 things that suck today. Anybody can. I mean, the fact that Cole missed arms today is one of my top things.
It's going to be on my
attacking
list.
you.
Yeah,
But-
it's like one of the worst things.
I just fucking went.
Yeah, honestly, I only.
That's a
think I missed,
misdemeanor.
Yeah, it's a misdemeanor. It's
I
a
feel like I
misdemeanor.
did a crime to myself. Yeah.
Anyway,
The pub burglar.
All right, Cole,
Yeah.
look, I'm going to make you a promise. I'm going to come back here really soon.
Yeah,
We're
of
gonna do our
course. I
homework.
mean,
Yeah.
All right, you promise to be there.
Yeah.
I promise to be there.
I hope
We had a
I hope
great-
Donnie
we had a
can
great
make it.
chest and back day
We-
yesterday.
Anyway,
all you gotta do is ride there. I'm actually gonna fly here for you.
I would fly to you.
Take the chopper.
Yeah.
Anytime.
we do need
all
a
you guys.
field trip to John.
Hell yeah. Come on out.
For sure.
That would be amazing. So anyway, so my point was, I'm sorry, I just want to fucking call.
Lake pumps.
Is that what is the response? You've had to run up against it before because you've been a positive dude that's focused and disciplined with the food, everything for so long. Is there like, what is your response when the person's like, fuck are you doing all this for? What's the, why, what about the negative side? Like, it's almost like that. It's the opposite of how we operate, but that's how most people operate.
Sure.
So like, do you just like kind of just sideswipe it and don't even really address it? Do you have like a very vague, like what's your kind of response to that coming at you?
So I used to be a very negative person.
Okay. Interesting.
And so I was going through my 20s and I was grinding it out. I was absolutely miserable.
Okay.
I hated my life. I lived in this basement. Like, it was miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And that one time, I don't remember where I heard it, but like, you're in control of just a few things in your life. Your attitude,
That's number one.
your response to things, your energy levels, and your effort, right? That's really what you're in control of. I'm sure there's a couple more I'm missing, but that's what resonates with me initially. So when somebody says your attitude's a choice, like I don't choose to wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to have a shitty day today,
I don't think, yeah.
right?
No.
You don't.
Absolutely not.
You just don't. So when I heard that, I was like, huh. So that's why I'm always trying to look at the positive. I don't always win that.
Yeah.
If you stand next to me in the dugout during baseball games, you know,
Yeah.
some of the coaches might hear something like, I don't say that anyone can hear it, but I don't always see it. But I have kids, and I don't want them to think the way that I thought for so long.
Yeah.
I want them to see the positive side of stuff. So when you have young kids and you're about to have a young kid, every day's great for them. And so I started to think to myself, geez, I don't need to be miserable about this. This is actually kind of a cool opportunity. And then I started opening up my eyes and learn from all the things that weren't going the way that I wanted them to go. Instead of getting pissed about it, like, oh, this is actually interesting. I still don't know what I learned from getting locked out of my room the other night.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out in a month, but I don't know what it was.
Reframe it.
Yeah, I'll reframe it. I'll figure it out. So I don't really care what anybody thinks, honestly. I live my life the way that I'm trying to live my best life that I can.
Sure. If it's somebody you care about and they're coming at you that way, because you really can't change, you know, some people, they're real hard pressed on that. So it's like,
Sure.
Is there like, do you try to, I don't know, kind of like bring something out, maybe that it'll turn the light bulb back to them?
Sure.
Yeah.
I try. It's almost like a game of tennis. You try and
Yeah,
follow-
that's kind of
like,
my point.
Don't put your negativity over here. I don't really want it.
Yeah.
So why don't you look at it this way? Maybe it doesn't mean it's going to help, but
Sure.
I'll do that. Especially when I'm talking to my high school kids. You know, those guys are my kids, and sometimes my wife has to give me a little pep talk.
For
or
sure.
sometimes I need to go back and listen to that Dorian Yates podcast.
Yeah.
Again and again and again.
Keeping stuff in front of you is key.
I
You
keep it.
can't. Yeah, you have to.
I was telling Danny, you know, the other day, I'll read a book and I make notes. I like to make a book report on it if it resonates with me, because I'll forget it in a little while.
Yeah.
Right? I'll forget it. That's why we were talking the other day. Like, we're talking about something like, let me just speak, because if I don't say it, it's gone. You know? And so
It's true.
Unfortunately, it happens. And so I make notes and stuff resonates with me. Then I start to study it. And I start to think, well, how can this apply to my life? So when Dorian Yates said that thing about the drop, it made sense to me immediately. And then I started to think about it for a few weeks. So instead of cramming more content in, you know, with the lunge and learn stuff, I stop. Like I was telling the other day, I get too much of it sometimes because I'm too eager to keep moving forward. But you really need to let it resonate. And when I'm doing that yoga in the morning and the thoughts just flow through, I have to put in my notes, you know, real quick.
Yeah.
So I have, oh my God, that thought came, or I need to get to this person. I need to do that.
Yeah, I'm doing a better job of that in the mornings because then it gives me all the topics for the daily fires. And because I like the pressure of, I know I have to do two, and I want them to be really quality.
Yeah.
And so like, I'm going to hear something in an interview or a book, and it only could be like this part of a sentence, but I'll throw it on there and then I can come back and then it's going to make sense later. But I absolutely would forget it. No question. And right now I know I can do 5 daily fires right this second if I had to, because I got a whole plethora of stuff that's going to make sense today that I could riff on, because then I'm like, oh, that's why I put that on there.
There's so much out there, Corey. And, you know, you've done, I don't know how many daily fires. I've listened to all of them.
Yeah, there's 160 something.
There's 160.
170.
Yeah.
But only if only one of those helped me,
Yes.
it's a win.
And that's why I do them right there. We're gonna make, I think, a yearly
a one a day
when we hit 365. So somebody could start on January 1st and read it or listen to it every day for a year.
It's incredible, and where you get that content from. Like in a million years, I would never think I'd be sitting here, or you and I would even be talking, or in business or whatever, from your background or my background, and here we are, all of us, right?
Yeah.
And maybe you're going to say something to me later that I'm going to think about a week from now and be like, huh. And that's really how it works.
Yeah.
For all of us.
Exactly
so
how it works.
the universe, like I asked you to go drive me out to meet Jacob today. I would have never done that 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Tell me why you wouldn't have never done it. Because I only know this guy, right?
Yeah.
So that's interesting for.
So I was so locked in to what I was doing in my career and stuff like that it was so myopic. My view was just so tight. My focus was just too tight. I'm sure I missed so many things that just popped in because you really have to be open for them.
Yeah.
A great example, Corey, was, we connected from the fasting because I had, high blood sugar, whatever. So I started your fasting thing. And my wife's like, send him an email. That guy's not going to respond to me. Why would he? She goes, he needs to know it works metabolically. It actually worked for your blood sugar. Mm-hmm. So you responded or whatever. And then we ended up connecting with the one-on-ones. And then you sent me a text about investing in this business. 7 years ago, whether I could afford it or not, I've been like, ugh, this guy just wrote me in these one-on-ones and now he's asking for money.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck off.
Yeah. That would have been your first response. Interesting.
Would have been my first response. But here I was like, oh, send me your shit. I'll take a look.
Yeah.
Why would I do that? For some reason, we got connected somehow. I've been doing your workouts for 10 years. I can't really connect the dots. Maybe you guys can help me.
Yeah.
Doing your workouts for 10 years, like printing them off. They're on my hard drive in my office.
So amazing.
I have all the Muscle Farm stuff.
Yeah, it's so amazing.
I didn't have to pay a trainer anymore. So you went out on your own in 2015 or 16, December.
End of 15, yeah.
I signed up. I'm like, $100 a year? Are you kidding? Sign me up. Signed up. I did every single Get Stacked for 4 weeks. I was one behind you.
Yeah.
I was doing your old Get Swole program.
Yeah.
So I was a month behind until COVID hit. So I've done every single one. I didn't really listen to the show, the other podcasts. But then all of a sudden, the world brings us together somehow. So now, as I'm getting older, right, in my 20s and 30s, I just wouldn't have had time to see it. So you have to be open for the things that are, out there. So if you put good vibes out there, I think Dorian Yates used the word raise your vibration.
Yeah, it's true.
If you can raise your positivity and your vibration, something's going to reverberate back to you.
How does it not?
And so here I am, fast forward in 2021, we're having strategy meetings. And you actually, I'm actually into it and feeling it. And you guys aren't just, get the hell out of here, man. Thanks for, investing and just beat it, Nice to see you.
No, we're having side conversations. Dustin's like, damn, he's like, a couple of things John said, like, shit was like fire, G. I'm like, yeah, why we got him here?
So for me, it's like surreal, but you have to be kind of open to it. And I wouldn't have been before. And I don't know whether it was insecurity or I was too focused. I haven't figured that part of it out yet. But again, if you put me in the middle of a room with my business partner, with you, like you guys are going to have fun and do all that stuff. I'm just going to roll.
Yeah.
And so what I'm trying to learn as I'm sitting in front of this thing, I'm trying to figure out how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Yeah. Which is really challenging for a lot of us.
Challenging for everybody.
But you got to fight through it.
Yeah. Because everybody's uncomfortable at something.
Yeah.
The things that I'm the most comfortable at makes people really uncomfortable. I realized that a long time ago. But then it's the flip side for me too. Everybody's personality is so different.
So different.
So yeah, that thing you talked about wouldn't make me uncomfortable at all. I would have 5 friends. Yeah. And probably could get one of them to invest in the business if I needed to.
In 5 minutes.
Yeah.
In 5 minutes.
Because I got comfortable early. If it was somebody that I really locked with, that I felt like I could get my authentic passion out to them and they would feel it.
Yeah.
They would feel they could, and that's what I was able to do in huge meetings that I end up, from Arnold to any of these guys, right? I was able to, in a short period of time, make them feel that I had something, that there was something here that they felt too. Right. And you can't cover it up. It's just there.
You can't fake that.
It's an intangible.
It's an intangible. And I knew that about myself because it's real and it's completely authentic. And so and I knew we could lock on certain things. It doesn't matter. So it's like, that's where I just had to say, I just got to really be myself because I believe in what we're doing. That's a fucking undeniable. Yeah. You can see it in the first 5 minutes you're in here. So it's like, if I could relay that and not be scared to relay that, because what if John ain't into it? That's cool, but somebody's going to be.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't Arnold, it would have been this guy. But I was like on this path of like, I know that there's some sauce here. And I'm meant to like do some big things, but I need help.
Yeah.
And I need people to believe in me. You know, I believe in myself. That's a fucking fact. Ever since I've been, you know, hollering at these little girls when I was younger, I was believing then, I'm believing now.
You know, you said something there that's really interesting is like, you know, I have a hard time asking for help. So I try
Yeah.
and do things too much all the time, you know, so it's hard sometimes to ask for help. And I struggle with that, and I'm getting better at it. I'm working at it, but it's important. So the fact that you could recognize that. And
there's a client that told me, that's the one thing about being a trainer, right? If people can afford a trainer, they have a level of success, even when they're only paying me $20, $30 in the early days. A guy named Rob Dunsmore, great sales guy, very personable. He told me really early, because he saw that I needed a lot of help, because I didn't have any like guidance. You know, I'm in my first gym for $5,000. I'm 20 years old. He's like one of my first clients. And he goes, the most powerful word, Corey, that you can ever say to any of these clients that have success is help. Yeah. Because who is not going to help a kid that comes from a coal mine that is trying to live his dream? If you have showed any type of, you know, just level of consistency, they are going to help you. And I really got comfortable pretty young, because I just knew I had no traditional training. And there's things that I just don't, you know, I can't even act like I know them, because I just don't know them. It's just the reality.
Yeah.
So it's like when I understood that power, he's like, the most powerful word you can use along this whole path is, I need help with this. And if you're asking somebody that you know knows how to do it, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
But some people's ego, and I'm not saying this is you, John, but I'm saying this is a lot, they can't do it. And because I don't know if they think it makes them look weak, but if I don't already fucking know, I don't know it. I want to know it so I can be stronger. So saying, help me, especially if it's somebody you like, know, trust, there's no loss there. It's only gain. So I think I just understood that, I think, real young.
yeah, no, it's a great thing. And I watch you guys operate, you know, here when I walked in, and there's just like this energy, and you trust these guys to help, and you
1,000%.
trust him. And without that trust, it's hard to do. So me not being able to ask for help, it's almost like I'm admitting defeat.
Yeah.
So maybe it's
I gotcha.
like, if I ask for help, like I don't really need.
Well, I don't know that I probably processed things like that before, where it was like, dude, this dude's 20 years old and he's giving me this, and like, I know he's right, but like, do I let him be right? Well, it's not really about letting him be right. He's just fucking right.
He's just right. So, you know, I was trying to do something really simple on the phone yesterday. Like really ridiculously simple. So I'm like, Dustin, can you help me out for a minute?
Yeah.
He hits a button. I'm just like,
yeah.
Good talk.
So that's funny, because
Dustin.
it's funny because Dustin will tell you he loves being right. And he's doing a better job at like that right there. Like he might process that as a loss because you had to ask, but it's really not.
Right.
It's really just help.
yeah, dude, could somebody just help? Like, And he just went like,
I think it's an interesting way to process stuff though, because I think if people can be okay with that, especially if it's somebody you already have a relationship with. I mean, if there's really somebody at work, you're like, they could go fuck themselves, and then you got to ask them, and then you look like, you feel like, well, that's like a different situation. But if it's people that you are around and you know got pop, like, then asking for help is only going to make your wealth of knowledge grow.
No doubt. And when I walked in the room the other day, we walked through the gym and came through here, like this group has just been so welcoming, and no one's like, you know, standoffish, and you guys have just been so awesome and made me feel like part of the family. That does not happen. To your point with the roles, right? Like, I'm genuinely genuinely happy for you, you know, that you are whoever you are and what you like, and that's good. But to your point, it's not really normal when you walk in. You guys are just like, hey, I'm talking to Tyler out there about soccer, and we're going. Yeah, it's like I've been out here a million times.
I've tried to articulate.
You guys are awesome that way.
I've tried to really articulate and be really transparent this entire process with these guys, because these is the roll dogs. These is the ride or dies. They know when shit hit the fan right before we got the building, when we were doing the buyout, things you've helped with. Like, I was real transparent because I want them to learn from like the shit that I had. We all had our own shit to sit here and make all this work, right? And how the pieces of the puzzle, everyone knows how big a piece of the puzzle you are. And so like then, you know, be able to, and everybody wanted to get this all ready so you could enjoy it and see it at this level, which is not where we started at in this building, but we're getting pretty close to where the final spot's kind of like, you know what I mean? So it's like, I think that you already was part of the team. Now it's a physical part because you actually got to walk in. But I think if I was not hiding but not telling these guys, then I just think everybody really has an understanding of like really how we got here. Because I just told right before we hit the button to really make this thing go, I told all these guys a month before, like, I'm about to make this decision. I need to know if you guys are going to ride or die with me. I told Danny, you're probably going to have to come help me at Max. You know, Trayvon was actually out of everything but Corey G. I'm going to need you to come back at some, like, Kyle's back in the game. Like, it's all these, you know, Tyler was working and miserable, as was Cole. Like, hey, but shit's going to change, but it's going to be crazy. Like, but this is what I got to do to get it to be crazy. Like,
it's a brotherhood. It's
a
beautiful,
brotherhood,
man.
Yeah.
And you know, I walked in and my wife's like, "You intimidated to go work out at the gym?" I'm like, "We're all just dudes that sling weights." Like, like I've been working out for
It's like a locker room.
since I was 14. Like, you know, no, I'm not. Can guys lift more? Yes, of course. Everybody. Like, you're never going to be the biggest, fastest, strongest, whatever. But then I walked through here. Not only was I welcomed out there,
Sure.
I walked in here. I was like, "Geez," I said to you, I feel like I'm home.
Yeah.
So I
you are.
appreciate that. I'm grateful
cool.
for that. It's really cool to be here, and this is just awesome what you guys have rolling here. Like, you don't even know. You don't even.
Well,
know.
I think that's one thing I try to bring up too, is that it's so normal for us now, right? Especially in the new age, we'll call it, that we don't really pay attention to anyone else because we're in our own zones of fun and execution and creativity. That I think the norm, or whatever you've seen, we're not even aware of it because it's not how we operate, or nor do what we want. We know how we didn't feel before, how we felt before, and we didn't like it.
Right.
And now it's like the way it's rocking, we just want to keep it rocking and growing. But it's like when you're seeing, you know, you've been a VC guy, you've invested in multiple companies, you go out and meet with you see how people operate. But when if you have a fitness brand essentially that feels like a tech startup, to me, that's like a huge compliment.
It's
the agility of the creativity is.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like, there's no ego.
Yeah.
Everybody's here, like, as a community, you know, and not only with the workouts and everything else, but the fact that you get up at what time to come take pictures. It's unbelievable, right? You're not even training at that time, but you're still here because you're part of the family. And without you, a lot of this stuff doesn't happen, right? That's so critical. Yeah. But you just take it for granted sometimes in places. But you guys are truly a family. And that's why this thing is going to be so great, because everyone's all in. Yeah. Or a lot of times, well, I'm kind of in, but I'm kind of out. And I'm kind of you don't accomplish anything with that.
No, that's not happening here.
Yeah, there's always like that. There's the old saying, like, you know, what's your plan B? I don't have a plan B. Like, I'm burning the boats and let's go. You know, let's go. And so,
hey, plan A was lift weights and get paid, motherfucker.
Yeah, well,
we still executing plan A.
But think about that. All that you did, it's crazy. All that you did led you to right here, which is a pretty damn good spot. Picking me up on rolls.
Yeah, the ecosystem's cool right now.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. It's been great.
You guys got anything else?
No, this is just amazing to listen to.
Right?
Total banger.
Total wanger banger.
Yeah.
And I think it wasn't like R-rated enough that I feel like your family could listen to it for the most part. We did pretty good.
Yeah, they'll listen.
Yeah.
He's like,
I tried on purpose not for it to be too crazy.
They'll listen to it for about 3 seconds and be like, that's just that.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Enough of him already. Yeah.
Well, hey, amazing episode. John's not on social media, so you can't find him. You can find him right here.
Or is he?
Well, he is, but I don't know if he wants it to be publicized.
Yeah, you know,
we should make a burner account.
Okay,
I don't want to be on social media.
The burner account.
Let's make a burner account.
You know, it goes back to what's his name? Dorian Yates. His nickname was a shadow, right? Same thing. I just like
That's
to
what.
Train it. Yeah.
I just like to hang back and enjoy.
I could say this was awesome.
Yeah,
so happy.
Unreal.
All right, I'm your boy Corey G. That's at Small Arms Danny. That's at Trey Speed, and the graphic gangster himself, Cole Susak. John Yolles, it was awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are out.